Hello there everyone, and welcome to the mini album workshop. So this is the first video that you're going to see, and in this video I want to explain a few things and talk about the material list. Now then, if you are on your laptop, then I can point out where you're going to need to go. If you're on a tablet, I'm not quite so sure. And if you're on an iPhone, I can kind of point out where you need to go, but you'll need to know your own instrument of usage as to where to look for these things. Now, what happens is that on set days, I will upload the next part of the tutorial. There may or there may not be a PDF instruction file to go with it. Okay, so if you're on a laptop, well, it's about up there. You'll see discussion and files and pictures and other bits and pieces, members and stuff like that. All the stuff that you need to access will be in files. Now, if you're on your iPhone, it will be across the top. All right, so you've got the main picture and then a little bit more information, and then you should have a list of file events, blah blah blah, all of that stuff, which you might need to just scroll across to be able to find files. All right, it's files that you need to be looking for. Now, in the file section, each of the PDFs is called a chapter. All right, so you'll find all the different chapters listed as individual PDF files. When you click on that, if you're on your laptop, it will tell you that you can either save it or that you can print it. It's up to you which you do. You can do either or. If you're on your phone, it might say view story, so then you have to click on that and then open it up. But by using that means you might not be able to download it or print it. All right, so just a little heads up there that you might need to sort of just look into that. In the file section also is a list of the videos. Now, if you've already been to have a look, you will see that I have already listed chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3, chapter 4. There will be a link next to each of those. All right, that link will take you to this video. This video is going to be stored on YouTube. Now, only you guys can access it, because I've listed the videos in such a way on YouTube that only those that have the link will have access to the actual video. All right, so it's not for everyone else to see. No one else will be able to see it but you. This particular workshop, or all of my workshops, I say that you can work at your own pace and you can create and come in and do what needs to be done as and when suits you. So just because I upload a video or a chapter on a specific day doesn't mean you've got to do it on that day. All right, you can just do it whenever suits you. If the group closes, when the group closes, you won't be able to get access to the information anymore. So, and also with the links to the videos, what you will need to do is to copy and paste that information. Once you've worked through all of the videos, you'll need to copy and paste all those video links onto your own computer, tablet or phone, so that you can still have access to those videos once the group has closed. If you're not sure on how to do that, give me a shout and I'll show you how to do that. I'll try and do a video on how you actually do that. But for you to be able to carry on accessing them once the group is closed, you need that information. Otherwise, you can't access it. And you shouldn't be able to save those videos. For those of you that are savvy on YouTube, you shouldn't be able to save those videos to your own watch list. All right. Was there anything else on that bit that I needed to cover? Yes, one other thing, which is actually quite important: copyright. you are not allowed to share the files in terms of the chapters, the PDF files, or the video links to anyone, be it friend, family, whoever. You're not allowed to share. You have paid for that privilege, and I have spent a lot of my time doing those things, so they are therefore copyrighted, which means you can't share them. I hope that you will respect that, because basically this is my means of being able to survive. This is my job, and this is what helps me pay the bills. If anyone goes out there and shares all those videos and all that information, it means that I'm not going to get a sale, and therefore might not be able to pay one of my bills. So, you know, it's a little bit like if you go into work and they expect you to work and then not be paid, you'd be a bit upset. Yeah, well, I'm in that same boat too. So please respect the fact that you have paid for access to these things, and please don't share them. Okay, so that's the waggy finger. That's the waggy finger mummy bit. But yeah, please respect that. Now, going on to the material list and the journal and the mini album itself, there are 2 or 3 ways in which you can do this, and throughout the videos I will actually cover each of those differences, the alternate, I suppose, ways of being able to make this mini album, which is why it was difficult to do a material list, because I know that everyone's stash is different. Level of finances to spend on new stash is different, and so I wanted to be able to make this accessible to those that maybe only have a limited stash collection, don't want to go and spend a whole load of money on new stash. So please utilise what you have. Don't go and spend money just willy-nilly just because it's what I'm using. All right, so as I say, there are 3 different ways to make this mini album, and I will be going through each of those steps with you. Now, on the original mini album, I used Tim Holtz Wildflowers paper pad. That's what I used originally. In this one, I'm going to use a graphic 45 paper, because a lot of people on group were saying that it's one of the things that they love having the graphic 45 papers, but they don't like using them because they're quite expensive, and it's always difficult to choose which side of the paper to use. So that's why I'm using the graphic 45 papers, to sort of go through the process of elimination, I suppose, to try and work out which paper you want to use and which one you don't. All right. Now, in the original, this one, I just used the papers to create the pages. This time round, I'm going to use plain cardstock to create the pages, and then I'm going to decorate it with my 45 papers. Because this is so lovely and because it's so expensive, I don't want to use a whole sheet for the page, although you can do. All right, so let's talk about the plain paper first. Now, in the UK, we use paper called A4. In America, you use letter paper, so they are different sizes. I'll try to address that as I go along, in terms of, I won't necessarily always talk about measurements, because you will need to decide that for yourselves, all right? But in this instance, I'm going to state the A4 sizes, all right? Now, I use this plain card for my cover and also for my pages as well. And I chose this sage green because of it going with the colours of the paper pack that I'm going to be using. So it helps to sort of it coordinates beautifully, I think. There is no reason why you can't use black cardstock, white cardstock, craft cardstock, or a coloured cardstock of your choice. All right, this is going to be the main centre of the instructions, is using the plain card as the patterned paper, even though I will be going through other alternatives as we go through it. So I used this plain green cardstock. Now I'm going to show you where I got it from. Now Stampin' Up! Do exactly the same colour, but they only come in A4 sheets. I actually got A3 sheets and then cut them down to A4 because I find that with this A3 I can chop it down to whatever size I want because of it being so much larger. Now then, I got this from Lime Tree Craft, and it's 300 GSM and the colour is sage green. Right, you get 25 sheets in the pack. Now I had a look on their website yesterday and it was £4.99 to be able to order this pack, and then I think it was £2.99 postage then on top of that. Alright, so that's what I'm using, is I'm using the A3. Let's put that to one side a minute, get me brew. Oh, hang on, I haven't got enough space for everything. Put me brew there a minute. Put the papers there. Put that there. Get me brew back, have a slurp, okay. Now, for the plain paper or plain card pages, you will need a cover piece, and this is where the A3 comes into play because I can cut this much larger than I need to. The piece that I cut, and you see that was 8 3/4 inches by 12 3/4 inches. So you could use 12 by 12 papers. Oh, you can't because it's 12 3/4, Carol. Come on, use your noddle. You can't use 12 by 12 paper packs. Scrub that. This is why I used A3. So the cover piece, I cut a piece that measured 8 3/4 by 12 3/4. I don't want you to cut your cover piece out yet, right, because of the options towards the end, but you will need a piece of card that will be able to make your cover piece. It needs to be quite firm card, so as I say, this is 300 GSM. If you use a thinner card, then you might need to glue two pieces of card together. Alright, but we'll come on to that with the first video. So at the moment, this is just about you making some general notes. We're going to need 6 pages. Can you see that? Sorry, I've got the blind down because it's a bit bright outside. So you need 6 pages of A4 paper, A4 card. Alright, and we're going to score and fold it. But we need 6 pages of A4. So if you're American, you're going to need 6 pages of letter size card. And again, if you can get the 300 GSM, that's great. If you've got a slightly thinner card, then that's also fine as well. Alright, but you're definitely going to need a minimum of 6 for the actual pages. Right, so then with leftover scraps, we're then going to be cutting a spine, and we're going to be doing a front cover, and we're going to be doing a back cover. So in total, for the pages, for the covers, and for the front cover, you need a minimum of 6 pieces for the pages. You need another piece to be able to cut the front and the back cover. You need another piece for the cover. Alright, so there's 8 already. Then inside the album, in between each page, there is a card. Now you can use a full sheet of card and fold it in half, which is what I've done here, or you can just use a single sheet of card. So you will then need card for that as well. And there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of those. So you also need 5 pieces of card for that too. Now up at Hobbycraft in the UK, they sell packs of both A4 and A3 card. The A3 card is in the children's section. The A4 card is in the paper craft section. They do sell 300 GSM card in white, but it's £10 a pack. The A4 card in the paper craft section is it £4? £5? £5 a pack for the A4 card. So in total, you're better off buying a pack, because in total you've got a lot of card that you're going to need. All right, so I would say anywhere between 10 to 15 sheets of card you're going to need in total. All right, there is going to be a file with this information written down on it. Now then, when it comes to decorating the actual pages, as I've already said, I'm going to be using the Graphic 45 papers, and the papers that I'm going to be using is the Bloom collection. Alright, so I'll just show you some of the pages that I'm going to be using. Now, I don't go and purchase a full pad every time. Sometimes I do, but with things like this, there are websites where you can actually just go and pick and choose which papers you want. All right, so you might want to go through, and rather than buy a full paper pad, you can just choose individual pages, which can work out cheaper. So I've actually got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pieces of paper, 12 by 12 paper, to use for my decoration. I will then obviously need some for the front cover, the back cover, the inside cover, and any other decorative pieces. So those are going to be my actual pages, and then the rest of this is what I'm going to be using for decorating up the covers and any other extra decorations that I want to put on the album. All right, there is no reason why you can't use a cheaper paper pad. So if you've got any other kind of paper pad, then there's no reason why you can't use those. So this one I got from the Works. It was £3, and it's got a full pad. All right. There is one slight difference with these, is that the paper can be quite hard, and so when it comes to creasing and folding, sometimes the paper can crack a little, so that might be something you might just want to sort of consider and think about. But there is no reason why you can't just use any of these papers as well. And the 12 by 12s isn't automatically necessary. You can use A4 papers as well. You can use a digital kit so that you can print off the digital kit. What I would suggest, if you get one of those, is you print them off onto thin card. All right, now when it comes to decorating the pages, as I've already said, I'm using these patterned papers. Graphic 45 also do what they call pattern and solids pads. There's no reason why you can't use those to decorate your pages up, so that they've got a slightly plainer look about them, and then decorate it up with some of the decorative papers. So you need to have a think about what type of album you want to create. If you use the plainer papers, then obviously it's better for adding the likes of photographs to them. Sometimes if you've got a very, very busy page, so for instance this one, a photograph on there won't stand out as much as if it was on a plainer paper. Right, so if you imagine, let's just pick one out of here. So if you imagine a photograph on this, it's going to stand out far better than it will stand out on this. So you might want to decorate your pages up with some plainer patterned papers. All right. Now, one of the other things that we can do when it comes to the cover, and this is why I don't want you to cut any of your papers just yet, so don't think you're going to get yourself ahead of the game by cutting them out and prepping them up already, because there are other things that I want you to consider as we're doing that. With the cover, if you can't get hold of A3 paper, then we can use grey board and make the cover up from scratch. And again, I got this at one of the shows. I got this from Inkalicious, and they sell A4 grey board, a 10 pack, and it was originally £3, but I got it for £1.50. Now, this isn't very thick grey board. So you can see the kind of movement that it has on it. You could use a cereal box. The other grey board that I like to use is, you know, those envelopes that you get in the post that are the please do not bend. Yeah, well, they're backed with grey board, so I like to use the grey board from the back of those envelopes as well. So anytime I order any stock or anything and it comes with those kind of envelopes, I always save that piece of grey board from off the back of the envelope. Right, did you hear that big from me? Slip of tea again. This is just to give you an idea. This is to give you an idea of the thought process that you will need to go through about your papers, the cover, the decorative pages that you want to do. You need to go through a bit of a thought process of what you actually want to utilise, what you already have, or what you might wish to order. So it's to give you a little bit of thinking time. You might decide that you want to watch 2 or 3 of the videos before you actually start, so that you've got that little bit of extra information. All right. The other thing that I wanted to cover was glues. Now, there are 4 types of glue that I use predominantly. So I use my Collall glue for attaching paper to paper. It's not an extremely strong glue, but it is strong enough to hold paper to paper. If I'm doing thin card and paper, then I use my very tacky glue, which is from Hobbycraft, if I can speak properly. Now, this is just a white liquid PVA glue. If I'm attaching heavy embellishments and maybe even metal embellishments, then I use my Glossy Accents from Ranger. And the other glue that I like using is the Tombow Mono Liquid Multi Glue. Now, this one is a very strong glue, and it adheres things very, very quickly. With these glues, there's a little bit of time to be able to maneuver things about a bit. Kind of once you've got those 2 in contact, using this glue, it's like it's not budging. So those are the 4 glues that I use most of all. So you will see me using those throughout the videos. The other thing that I like to use as well is my Tim Holtz Distress Inks. Now, you won't be able to see the cover of this because I always sit that on my table like that, so this is covered in ink. But the 2 that I like to use are Vintage Photo and Walnut Stain. As I say, you might want to watch 2 or 3 of the videos before you start the process, because I've given you an awful lot to think about and not a very definitive material list, and that's because I wanted to try and cover everybody's accessibility as to what they'd actually got. If all I talked about was using the graphic 45 papers and that green card, it doesn't allow you the thought process of, well, I don't have any of those, so what can I use instead? All right, so I want to give you the option of being able to use what you actually have, rather than feeling that you've got to go out and purchase any of this stuff. All right. I think that that's about it for now. I just wanted to give you an insight into the materials that I'm going to be using and some of the thought processes that you can now start to go through. So I hope you'll enjoy working on this project, and I look forward to seeing you in future videos and also on the group. I think that's about it for now. Covered paper, covered the grey board, covered the glues, covered the ink, covered the options. Yeah, there are other things that you're going to need as well, like seam binding and closures and all of that, but I want to cover those individually again to give you the options. Okay, so don't worry about those just yet. Right, I'm off to go and finish my brew. My granddaughters have just come back from the shops, so I'm going to go and spend the afternoon with them. Hope you have a lovely weekend, and I'll see you again soon. Ta-ra for now.